I used to be someone that a lot of people admired, and I was respected, especially by my relatives. There were those that knew what I was doing, especially my wife. I sacrificed her because I blamed her. She was the one that always demanded more money from me. So I ended up using some money in the business that did not belong to me, that had been placed in the banking account of the business that I was running. But when you go broke, there is no one that wants to be associated to you. All those that respected me, they forgot about me. You have no idea how bad it feels when no one does not even visit you when you are in prison. I was a lawyer. I was someone that was specializing in RAF. For those that are not South African amongst your listeners, it is called Road Accident Fund. I used to deal in those cases. Back then, money was just like a number on a screen. Me and my beautiful wife, we lived in a house in Umhlanga, and if I wanted a new car, you will be having a good credit score such that you don't even have to negotiate. You just go. I would walk into a dealership, show them my credentials and a brand new car. And to think that I had to do money rituals for a GD6, it is totally laughable. It was a car that would be given to me without even the guys that knew me double checking if I qualified for such a car. I would laugh at men that drove bakkies. I say that someone that drives a bakkie without a business or a farm, that person is poor. Only those that are poor drive bakkies. When you are rich, what do you need a bakkie for? Because you have everything that you want. You cannot be dragging a trailer around when you are rich, like the way that I used to consider myself that I was wealthy. If I needed someone, I would just call someone to come and do the work for me. So I never even imagined one day doing money rituals so that I can just get a GD6. In this life, when you are on top of the ladder, never look down on other people. I used to do that quite often when I would go to the location where I grew up staying. Those that I grew up knowing, now that they were struggling, having regular jobs, I used to look at them as if they did not even deserve to breathe. I had this money, so much money, that if I would go to a dealership and a car would be delivered to my office, I was treated like I was royalty. When you have money, even the bank treats you like you are a king. I got greedy. What I started to do was to borrow from the payouts that was meant for the victims, the people who had actually lost a leg, lost an arm, and some those that had lost their lives whilst waiting for this money to come out. Because it's not like when you deal with that case, tomorrow the money is going to be paid out. It takes time. In 2016, the law caught up with me. I was disbarred, arrested, and sentenced. My wife, the woman that had been with me since I had nothing, she filed for divorce before the prison gates even slammed shut. When I was on bail, my wife forced a divorce on me. I spent 3 years at different prisons. Whilst the world was moving on, I would sit in a cell, I would cry, especially at what my wife did to me when she told me that we need to divorce now. And I thought that she loved me, she was trying to protect our assets, but no, she was not doing that. I sat there in prison. Then I went back to school so that I won't lose my mind. I started studying for an accounting degree, thinking that I could pivot and start over after the prison sentence will be over. I came out, it was in 2019, with a piece of paper and one hell of a criminal record that made me not to be hired by anyone. No firm would hire a disbarred lawyer turned accountant. Then 2020 happened. COVID came along. Ramaphosa locked the country down, And this was so terrible for a man that had spent so many years in prison. It was as if God did not want me to live anymore, and the devil was waiting for me to come to the other side. For lockdown, for those that had been working, it was easy. For me, it was really hard because I did not even have food in my own house. I was living in a shack of a room that I was staying in, and the person that had let me to stay in their house, it was someone that I had assisted a long time ago to get their RAF money, and they did not have an idea that this was what I had done. Later on, they had also misused the money and did not even invest a single cent. So they allowed me to bring a shack, to build a shack at the back of their house. I would literally go to bed hungry. I was the man who was now staying in a shack, a man who used to buy 2,000 rand worth of bottles of wine. I was now drinking tap water to stop the stomach from complaining. By 2021, I was desperate. I was really desperate. Being in prison is good. You can go to school, but prison also, it is a ground where you can be initiated and be recruited into gangs. I knew of a gang of Nigerians and Indians, those that sold drugs. I went to a Nigerian whom I had served with at a certain prison, and I told him that I was broke. I wanted to borrow money from him. He then gave me some weed and he told me to sell the weed. I started to sell the weed just to be able to buy some food. Whilst I was selling this weed for him, and whenever I would go to restock, or when he would bring some weed so that I can continue selling for him, this man, we would talk for hours and hours, and he would tell me that one day I would get back on my feet. He then told me that he knew of another Nigerian guy who could assist me. That was when I was taken to the chairman. This Nigerian man, at first I did not know that he was part of an occult, but still he said that he wanted to assist me to get back on my feet. He took me to his house in Dubarn North. This was not a shrine, it was just a nice house, and then we sat, we spoke, and he told me that there were 3 other men, South Africans, that he had assisted. They were now tenderpreneurs, and I could also become like them. He showed me some videos of him and those guys. They were enjoying money in different VIP clubs. He showed me the cars that they drove, and I said, this is it. Now you are talking, Baba. I want to be what I used to be. I was initiated on that night. Being initiated, some of you think that you see tokoloshis or something. No, he just took a small blade and then he made a cut on my manhood. It is not a very big cut, but now it is getting deeper and deeper. I am told that the day when this cut gets to the other side of my manhood, because as for now, it is still much on the right side of my manhood. If it gets too deep such that it will cut across my manhood, then I will die. So every time I check to see how big the wound is. There are times when I feel pain when I am urinating, but I am used to it. I am not supposed to take any pain medication when I feel pain, because this wound, it was my first sacrifice. I was told that this wound will never heal. When I sleep with a woman, I am supposed to wash myself with water inside of a small bucket that I bought, and I went with it to his house. So I do not buy water to drink, and I don't drink water directly from the tap. I drink water from the bucket. When I collect a woman from the club, I sleep with him without any protection. Of course, I try to make sure that the women that I sleep with, they do not have normally HIV. As for an STI, you can't test really on the spot, but I always test the women that I sleep with without using protection. After we would have slept with each other, I rush to the bathroom. Then I put some water and wash my manhood. And that is the water that I later put into another small bucket, which I use to drink. To cook, I can cook with water from the tap, but to drink, I am only allowed to drink that dirty water. Whilst I was still at that man's house, I was told that I was supposed to shed blood to activate my luck. I needed to sacrifice, but I was supposed to sacrifice someone whose blood was tied to me. And it was my wife who appeared in the mirror, because I was told to touch the mirror that was in this other room, and my wife, she appeared. And I was asked if I was willing to sacrifice her and to give reasons why. And I said, this woman, my ex-wife, she had already moved on. She was living in Mpumalanga by then, married to a man whom I did not know. I had heard that the man was working at a certain mine there in Mpumalanga, and she was pregnant, about 6 months pregnant. She was the only person whom I had ever truly loved, and yet she had betrayed me by that divorce nonsense. So whilst I was touching the mirror, then I gave that voodoo priest my ex-wife's full name, and I gave him all the information that he wanted. And 2 days later, that was when I was told that there was a tragic accident that had happened on the N4, and there was a pregnant woman that had died in a head-on collision with a truck. My heart did not even break. I did not even cry. And I was called to register a company. I registered a company, and I received a multi-million rand PPE and sanitization tender. I went to the bank. I did not even ask for a loan. With that contract in my hand, they gave me 1.5 million line of credit. I walked straight to the dealership and I bought a car. It was the car that I always wanted to drive after I was out of prison. So success, it really came to me. I started another company, my accountancy firm. I started to get a lot of business from other people that also did rituals and people that do tenders. And I moved back to Umhlanga, where I am staying right now. I still have that GD6. I really do not drive it at all, because it is not a car of my choice. It was only a car that I wanted to drive after prison. After a long time making money, my wound on my manhood has never healed. It will get painful, it can get smelly, and when it gets smelly, I'm not supposed to clean it, I'm not supposed to do anything. I just leave it like that. Since I stay alone, I just walk around naked so that at least it does not get too moist. So I have been haunted several times by my wife. Whenever I see my wife, she comes to me and then she will start to scream at me. She will say that, why did you kill me? Why did you kill me? I'm like losing my mind. When it happened in public for the first time, I was standing in a line at an ATM in Florida Road. It was towards month end. The line was long. I was supposed to go and collect money. I was supposed to give it to a blind person that I would have met in order to cleanse myself. Then I felt that there was someone that was holding me on my shoulder. I turned around. Oh my God, what I saw was the ghost of my ex-wife. She was standing there. She was looking at me. Her face was so scary, because when she died, she flew out of the car because she was not wearing a seatbelt, and her pregnant belly was covered in blood. I started screaming. Remember, I had forgotten that I was in a vision. The things that I was seeing, no one else was seeing what I was seeing. So I was like, Nyeke, it's not my fault. You are the one who caused everything. You pushed me into this. The people that were in the queue, they ran away from me, and I returned back to my car. I was feeling hot. I had never been embarrassed like that. They thought that maybe I was a nyaupe addict, and it was so shameful when I realized that everyone was looking at me like I was crazy. I walked away and I went to the car, got into the car, and I cried. So I have everything that I once had, except that in the past I did not do any money rituals. I have all that I want. My car is always parked in the garage. Today, I can have anything that I want. I can have any woman that I want to be with me. I am the loneliest man here in Dubarn. And when I sleep with a woman, I can't sleep with a woman in broad daylight. I make sure that the lights are off in my bedroom, and I also have like the most dim bedroom lights, and I always make sure that I sleep with a woman only when she is totally drunk, when she is wasted, so that she won't notice a lot of things that will be happening. So I can never leave the cult. I was told that if I try to leave the cult, I might even lose my mind. Here and there, I have to give money to charity, usually your people that have disabilities. I am in a brotherhood. I can't carry this anymore. I am always tired. I am always thinking about ending my life all day long. All that I do is that I scroll on social media, listening to stories, as well as hunting women that I can sleep with, so that I can wash my manhood after that and use that water when I drink. This is my confession. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our brother right there. Let us speak with him in the comment section. He's saying that he has a big wound on his manhood that can never be healed. You only sleep with these women when they are totally drunk, never in broad daylight. Has it ever happened to you? You can bring your confession to my inbox. Yeah, name. Let us meet again in the following episode.